January passed. The weekdays slowly pulled everything back into routine. Work, home, meetings, family dinners. Everything seemed to return to normal. But between Artem and Tamara, something had appeared that could no longer be forgotten. They barely spoke after that night. No messages. No calls. But every accidental glance betrayed an inner storm. She didn't ask him for anything. He made no promises. But both knew. They were connected by something unspeakable. Everything at home was as usual. His wife Sveta fussed, complained of tiredness, quarreled over small things. He listened, nodded, but thought about something else. Remembered how Tamara had sat next to him in the car, silent, looking at him. Their shared meetings now felt like traps. Every visit to his wife's parents was a test. He knew he would see her, and didn't know how to restrain himself. She, as always, greeted him politely, set the table, offered tea, and did everything as if nothing had happened between them. But the silence between sentences gave her away. Micropauses that lasted a fraction of a second longer. One day, 3 weeks after New Year, he came over alone. Sveta had gone to a friend for 2 days. He stopped by to drop off the forgotten thermos. That's what he told himself. Tamara opened the door. She wore a dark blue home suit, her hair loose, her eyes slightly surprised. Artem. Her voice was calm but cautious. I thought maybe you were home alone. Decided to stop by. She silently stepped back, letting him in. He entered the kitchen. Everything was in its place, clean, neat as always. But the air seemed to thicken. Don't, she said, setting down a cup. Don't what? All this. Why? Because I'm scared. Scared of what? That will go too far. We already have, he said softly. Tamara looked away, smiled barely. Sadness in her eyes was almost tangible. This isn't a movie, Artem. This is life. With consequences. He stepped closer. Didn't touch her. Just stood near. I don't want to lose you. You don't have me. And you never will. Why not? Because I can't betray my daughter. He said nothing. Understood. With every word it got heavier. But inside, he still felt that this woman was the only real thing in his life. Then I won't come anymore, he said, looking into her eyes. That's right, she said, voice trembling. He turned, walked to the door, and stopped at the threshold, looking back. But if someday you just want to sit nearby, right? I'm not asking for anything. Just to be close. Sometimes. Just don't be silent forever. She said nothing, only nodded, and closed the door behind him. February passed in silence. He didn't write. Neither did she. But every day he caught himself thinking, how is she? Where is she? Does she think of me? Sometimes he thought it was all his imagination, that he made up the feelings, that she was simply polite. But in spring everything changed. He came home and found an envelope on the table. No signature. Inside, a card. Simple watercolor. A picture of a cup of coffee and the words, if you want, come just to drink tea. Silently. He didn't call. Didn't ask questions. Just happened to be at the familiar doorstep on a Friday evening. Tamara opened the door, wearing a light sweater and soft home pants. She looked different. Calmer. Warmer. Come in, she said. And nothing more. They sat in the kitchen. Drank teo. Silently. Sometimes he looked at her hands, thin, well-groomed, strong. Sometimes she lifted her gaze and held it on his face. They spoke little. About the weather. Movies. How fast time flies. But between those talks flowed something real. An invisible thread that hadn't broken. At one point she came closer. Sat beside him. Laid her hand on his knee. I don't know what will happen next, she whispered. Me neither. But now you're here. And I'm near. And I feel calm. And me too. Again, no rush. No passionate confessions. Just a touch. Just silence. And the feeling that everything was right where it should be. Sometimes one evening is enough. One spring. To realize, you're alive. And beside you is someone who doesn't judge, doesn't demand, doesn't rush. Just accepts. This time she didn't close the door behind him. They silently looked at each other in the hallway. He leaned down, touched her forehead with his lips. Thank you, he said. For what? for not leaving. She closed her eyes and said what he didn't expect. I can't live without you anymore. And from that moment everything changed. Nothing got easier, but it became alive.